Hello everyone and welcome to Learn English with Tangmation. Today's topic is simple past tense. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Okay, let's go. In this video, you will learn when to use simple past tense, the difference between simple past and present perfect tense, irregular and regular verbs, the structure of simple past tense, how to form negatives, how to form questions, and how to form answers. There is a test at the end too. Okay, so let's start. When can we use simple past tense? We use it to describe a finished action in the past. I read a book. Describe an action that happened in a specific time in the past. I went to the aquarium yesterday. And describe a story. She came back home, sat on a sofa, started to watch TV, and then the telephone rang. Let's now see the main difference between simple past tense and present perfect tense. You will probably ask why we're comparing a past tense with a present tense. The answer is that the present perfect tense is usually used to describe past actions too. So, what are the main differences between simple past tense and present perfect tense? As we said, both tenses can be used to describe an action that happened in the past. However, simple past tense is usually used when we need to describe a finished action that happened in a specific time in the past. And present perfect tense is usually used to describe an action that still affects us now. Let's see an example. Sean bought a bicycle. And Sean has bought a bicycle. The first sentence, which is using past simple tense, means that Sean bought the bicycle at some point in the past. You could also add the time reference. Sean bought a bicycle 2 years ago. The second sentence, which is using present perfect tense, gives you more information, and the information is that Sean still has that bicycle now. Also, you could never say, for example, Sean has bought a bicycle 2 years ago. We cannot use time reference to the past within the same present perfect sentence. This would be incorrect. As a side note, you could, however, say this in two separate sentences where one follows the other. Sean has bought a bicycle. He bought it 2 years ago. Here, the first sentence is a present perfect sentence, and the second is a simple past tense. This is the main difference. If you want to see more, look for the present perfect tense video on our channel. So the biggest challenge with simple past tense are irregular verbs. As we know, the verbs can be regular and irregular. If you want to use a regular verb in simple past tense, all you need to do is to add the ed at the end. Let's compare this with simple present tense. I work at Burger King. This is a simple present sentence. And I worked at Burger King. This would be a simple past sentence. The good news is that this will work for every person. I, you, we, they, he, she, it worked at Burger King. Note, however, that there are a few rules that we need to follow even with the regular verbs. If the word ends in E, we will only have to add the letter D. Smile and smiled. Consonant and Y, we will drop the Y and replace it with IED. Try and tried. A consonant, a vowel, and a consonant, we double the last letter and then add ED. Stop and stopped. Unfortunately, there are many verbs that are irregular, where there is no rule to follow. You will just have to memorize them. So let's see some in this table. The first column shows the base verbs and the second the same verb in a simple past form. Be, was, where. Break, broke. Buy, bought. Come, came. Cut, cut. Do, did. Eat, ate. Get, got. Go, went. Sleep, slept. Speak, spoke. Take, took. Write, wrote. You have probably noticed that one word did not change from its base form. It's the word cut. There are many words like this, and they can be confusing. See the example below. I cut my finger. This could be a simple present or a simple past sentence. To see which one it is, we need to know the context. Also, you have probably noticed that the verb be has two different simple past forms, was and were. This is because the simple past form of the verb be needs to be conjugated. Just like in this table. I, he, she, it was. We, you, they were. See this video if you want to know more about verb conjugation. Okay, now let's learn the structure of the simple past tense. We will first focus on positive sentences. Let's look at our example again. He bought a bicycle 2 weeks ago. Here we have a subject, past form of a verb, and the rest of the sentence. That's the structure of simple past tense. Let's now see how to form the negatives. We'll use the same example again. He did not buy a bicycle 2 weeks ago. Here we have a subject, a negation did not, verb, and the rest of the sentence. You can also shorten the negation to didn't, like this. He didn't buy a bicycle 2 weeks ago. This is called a contraction. However, when we form negative sentences with the verbs was and were, we move the negation to after the verb. Note that the negation used is simply not. Subject, was, were, negation not, and the rest of the sentence. See the difference here. They were happy and they were not happy. Again, you can also shorten the negation to weren't. They weren't happy. Or wasn't. She was happy. She wasn't happy. Okay, let's now look at the questions. How do we form the questions? Let's see our example again. He bought a bicycle 2 weeks ago. To form a question, we need to add an auxiliary verb did before the sentence. And we have to make sure the verb stays at its base form. We don't change it to the past form. Did he buy a bicycle 2 weeks ago? The auxiliary verb did, subject, verb, the rest of the sentence, and the question mark. However, when we form questions with the verbs was and were, we don't add the auxiliary verb did. All we need to do is to swap the subject with the verb. Was, were, subject, the rest of the sentence, and a question mark. See the difference here. She was happy. And was she happy? Okay, let's now see how to form answers to these questions. The structure of the answer depends on the structure of the question. If the question starts with the auxiliary verb did, then the structure of the answer is no, subject, didn't, or yes, subject, did. Did he buy a bicycle 2 weeks ago? No, he didn't. Or yes, he did. If, however, the verbs was and were are used in the sentence, the structure looks like this. No, subject, wasn't, weren't. Yes, subject, was, were. Was she happy? No, she wasn't. Or yes, she was. Okay, now that we know when to use the simple past tense and how to form it, it is the time for a test. Can you form simple past sentences from these simple present sentences? John goes to the gym. She is my boss. He works in a museum. Okay, you will now have 10 seconds to complete this, but as always, don't worry, you can pause the video if you need to. So, let's go. Alright, let's now check if you got it right. The correct answers are: John went to the gym. She was my boss. He worked in a museum. So, did you get it right? If you did, then well done. Today's topic was simple past tense. We hope you enjoyed it. See our YouTube channel to learn more about the English grammar and don't forget to subscribe. So, until the next time!